Okay, let's unpack this. I want you to take a second, literally wherever you are, just stop for a moment, whether you're commuting, at the gym, or, just sitting at your desk, and look at your calendar.
Hmm.
It is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. And if you're listening to this right now, you are standing effectively at the precipice of what our sources today are calling the age of abundance.
It sounds incredibly dramatic, doesn't it? The Age of Abundance.
It really does.
It feels like something straight out of a sci-fi novel
Yeah.
or, some kind of utopian manifesto. But when you actually dig into the stack of research and the articles we have in front of us today, it almost feels like the only appropriate way to describe the moment we're in.
I think so, too. And I want to be really clear right from the top. We are not talking about flying cars or, colonies on Mars or teleportation today. We're not even talking about fusion energy or any of those hard science breakthroughs. We are talking about something that is fundamentally shifting the way business operates right under our noses right now.
Right.
Today, we're talking about this massive shift from software that helps you work to software that actually does the work for you. And that brings us to the core topic of the day. Agentic AI.
Agentic AI. That is the phrase you're going to hear over and over again for the next, hour or so. And I think for a lot of people, when they hear AI in 2026, their mind might still be stuck back in 2023 or 2024.
Oh, absolutely.
They're probably thinking about chatbots. They might be thinking about a really smart dashboard that gives them a nice graph or maybe summarizes a meeting for them.
Right, or a tool that helps you write an email a little faster, the whole co-pilot era. Hey, can you help me rephrase the sentence so I sound a little smarter?
Exactly. That was the co-pilot phase. And don't get me wrong, that was incredibly useful. It changed a lot. But what we are diving into today, based on this incredible series of articles from Netizen, is a completely different beast.
A different beast entirely.
Yeah. We're looking at a world where software doesn't just assist humans anymore, but it actually acts on their behalf. It's the difference between a tool you hold in your hand, like a hammer, and a skilled worker standing right next to you who already knows how to build the cabinet without you telling them where every single nail goes.
And that is the mission for this deep dive. We want to understand this world where our digital tools are no longer passive. They are active participants. And our main source for this is this really comprehensive series from Netizen. They've dropped 3 major pieces titled Agentic AI, The Future of Autonomous Marketing, another one, Revolutionizing the Sales Landscape, and finally, Revolutionizing Customer Service.
And the argument these sources make is, it's pretty bold. They're basically claiming that this transition to agentic AI is the most profound transformation since the birth of the internet itself.
That is a massive claim. Since the birth of the internet. I mean, think about that. Not since the iPhone, not since social media, since the internet. So, okay, let's test that. Let's see if that claim actually holds up.
Let's do it.
To do that, I think we have to start with the basics. We need to define the shift. And the source material lays out this really fascinating evolutionary timeline of marketing technology. It breaks it down into 4 distinct eras to show the trajectory. So walk us through that history, because I think it does a great job of contextualizing where we are right now.
Sure. Yeah, it's really helpful to look back to see just how far we've come. So we start with what they call the manual era.
The Mad Men days.
Exactly, the Mad Men days. But honestly, it stretches even into the early internet age. This is where humans did literally everything. You did the research, and that means literally reading magazines or calling people on a landline phone.
Right.
You wrote the copy on a typewriter or, very basic word processor. You physically bought the media negotiating with a newspaper rep or a TV station, probably over lunch. And then you compiled all the reports by hand, maybe on a spreadsheet if you were lucky.
I remember those days. Spreadsheets, phone calls, and fax machines. It was so incredibly labor-intensive. I mean, and if you wanted to change a single element of a campaign, it could take days.
Or weeks.
Or weeks. You'd have to call the publisher. They would have to physically swap out a printing plate or change a line of prose somewhere. It was just so slow.
Incredibly slow. So from there, we moved into the automation era. And this is what a lot of us really grew up with in the digital marketing world. Now you have software, but it's very rigid.
Okay.
You can schedule a post for next Tuesday at exactly 9:00 a.m. You can set up a workflow that says, if a user clicks this link, then send them email B. It's helpful, it saves time, but it's static. It only does exactly what you told it to do and only when you told it to do it. It has no brain of its own.
It's just a recipe. You write the recipe, and it follows the recipe. If you run out of flour, the machine doesn't know what to do. It just stops.
Exactly. Or it keeps trying to bake an empty cake. It doesn't understand that the context has changed. It's dumb execution of what were hopefully smart rules.
Right.
Then came the third stage, the optimization era. This is where machine learning started, really creeping in over the last decade. Think about ad bidding on Google or Facebook.
Sure, yeah. Performance max, things like that.
Exactly. You tell the system, I want to get conversions at $10 each, and the machine learning algorithms figure out the best microsecond to place a bid. It's optimizing, but it's still working within these very tight constraints that you set. It's better, but it's not autonomous. It's just a much, much faster calculator. It helps you spend your money more efficiently, but it doesn't decide how to spend it or what to say with it.
Well, we're past that now. That's yesterday's news, according to these sources.
We are. According to the source, as of today, February 2026, we are now firmly in the agentic era. This is the fourth stage. And in this stage, the AI systems don't just optimize a bid within your rules. They set entire plans in motion. They adapt their own strategies on the fly. And they execute independently toward a high-level goal that you've defined.
So, okay, instead of me saying, post this specific image with this specific text on Tuesday, I'm now saying something like, grow my audience engagement by 10% this month, and the agent just figures out how.
That is exactly it. You give it the objective, not the specific task. And to really grasp what that means, we need to break down the 4 key capabilities that define an agentic system. The source lists them as perceiving, planning, acting, and learning.
Okay, let's unpack these one by one, because this is really the technical heart of the matter. This is what makes the magic happen, so to speak. Let's start with perceiving. What does that mean in this context?
Perceiving means the system isn't just sitting there waiting for a text input from a human. It is constantly reading the environment. It's looking at all these different data signals, customer behaviors, market shifts, real-time news, competitor pricing changes. It has its eyes open, so to speak.
It's aware.
It's aware. It's ingesting the world around it. It's kind of like a stock trader who's watching the ticker tape. But for everything happening in your business and your market, it sees that a competitor just dropped their price in Germany. It sees that a specific influencer just mentioned your product category on a live stream. It perceives the context of the world it's operating in.
Okay, so it's awake, it's aware, it's not just sitting in a dark room waiting for a command to be typed in. So what about planning?
This is the brain work. Based on everything it perceives, it then formulates a strategy. And it doesn't just react with a canned response, it actually thinks ahead. It decides, okay, our engagement on this campaign is dropping, and I see our main competitor just launched a flash sale, so I need to formulate a plan to counter that.
And it does it on its own?
On its own. It runs simulations. It considers multiple options. It might think, should I recommend we lower the price? No, that hurts our margins too much. Should I change the ad copy to highlight our quality advantage? Yes, let's try that. It's weighing potential outcomes before it ever makes a move.
Which leads directly to acting. And this is the part that I think scares some people, right? But it's also the part that truly defines this new era.
It is the crucial step. This is where the agent has the keys to the car. It can actually execute its plan across all your channels. It can publish the social post. It can change the ad bid. It can send the email. It can update the text on your website.
Without asking for permission.
Without needing to ask for permission for every single little step. It has agency. Without this step, it's just another analytics tool making recommendations. With this step, it becomes an agent. It closes that loop between knowing what to do and actually doing it.
Okay, and the final piece of the puzzle is learning.
The feedback loop. This is what makes it smart. It watches the outcome of its own actions. Did that new email subject line work? Did that price change actually help or hurt? And it learns from the results and adjusts the next plan. It's a continuous, self-improving cycle. So in theory, it doesn't make the same mistake twice. If it tries a joke in an email subject line and the open rate tanks, it learns, okay, this audience segment doesn't respond well to humor on Tuesdays, and it adjusts its strategy for next time.
You know, there's this great analogy in the source text that I absolutely love. I think it just nails the concept. It says, traditional automation is a teleprompter. Agentic AI is a jazz musician.
I love that too. It's such a vivid image, isn't it? It really captures the difference in the feeling between the old tech and this new tech.
It really hits home for me. I mean, a teleprompter is useful, right? If you're giving a speech, it helps you stay on track. But it's incredibly rigid.
Totally rigid.
It just scrolls at a set speed. If the speaker goes off script for a moment, or if the audience starts laughing and the speaker naturally pauses, the teleprompter doesn't know what to do. It just keeps scrolling, or it stops dead. It's following the script blindly. I mean, if the room catches on fire, the teleprompter just keeps scrolling the speech.
Laughs. Exactly. It has zero context. It doesn't know the room.
Yeah.
But a jazz musician, now they have a structure. They know the key, they know the rhythm, they know the song they're supposed to be playing, but they are improvising within that structure.
Constantly.
They're listening to what the drummer is doing. They're reacting to the mood of the crowd in the room. If the audience is really energetic, they might play a little faster, a little louder. If the pianist suddenly changes a chord, they adapt their solo on the fly. They are changing the notes in real time based on the environment. And that's what Agentic AI is. It's that jazz musician. We're moving from this reactive, scripted software to a proactive, digital operator.
That improvisation is the absolute key. It's the ability to handle the unexpected. A teleprompter fails when things go wrong. A jazz musician thrives when things change.
Precisely. And business is never a clean script, is it?
Yeah.
Business is always jazz. Markets change, competitors make unexpected moves, customers change their minds. You need software that can improvise along with you.
So the big question then is, why now? Why is February 2026 the moment this is exploding? Why didn't we have this in 2020 or even 2024? What happened to get us from the teleprompter to the jazz club?
The source identifies a convergence of three specific forces. It's not just one single breakthrough. It's three massive things hitting at roughly the same time to create this perfect storm.
Okay.
First, and maybe most obviously, large-scale generative models. We finally have AI that can produce human-quality content, text, images, even video on the fly. So now the agent can actually write the ad copy, draw the banner image, and code the landing page it needs.
So the agent can actually create the materials it needs to execute its own plan. It doesn't have to put in a ticket and wait for a human copywriter to draft the email.
Exactly. Before, an AI could maybe tell you, hey, you probably need a new email for this segment, but it couldn't actually write it for you. Now it can. It can generate 50 different variations in a matter of seconds and start testing them.
Okay, so that's the creative engine. What's the second force?
The second is real-time data infrastructure. We finally have the pipes, the plumbing to stream behavioral signals and transactional data instantly. So the agent can see what's happening in the market and with your customers right now, not next week when the analytics report finally comes out. It's watching the live feed, not a recording.
And the third piece?
API-connected ecosystems. This is the less glamorous but absolutely essential part. This is the plumbing that allows the AI to actually push the buttons in all your other tools. If the AI decides it needs to send an email, the API connection to your email platform lets it actually click send. If it wants to update a contact record in your CRM, it has the permission and the connection to do it.
So when you combine them?
When you combine the ability to create, that's the Gene AI, with the ability to see, that's the real-time data, and the ability to do, that's the APIs, then true autonomy finally becomes possible.
That makes perfect sense. It's like you're giving the brain, the eyes, and the hands to the machine all at once. Before, we maybe had a piece of the brain, but it was blind and it was paralyzed. Now it's fully equipped.
Exactly. And that brings us to the operational reality of all this. The source is very clear that major enterprise platforms have already started embedding these capabilities. This isn't just a theoretical concept.
No, they're listing names, and these are big names. They mentioned Salesforce integrating AI agents directly into their customer journey orchestration tools.
Right. And Braze enabling autonomous optimization of their lifecycle messaging.
They call out Optimove using AI for churn prediction and intervention. Even Accenture is apparently using it internally to streamline its own operations.
So it's already happening. This isn't speculative futurism, as the source puts it. It's the operational reality on the ground today. If you're sitting around waiting for this to be invented, you're already late to the party. Companies are running these agents right now as we speak.
Okay, so that's the definition. That's the what. But I really want to get into the how. I want to see this thing in action. So let's move into part 2 and really talk about marketing that thinks.
The Agentic Marketing Deep Dive. This is where it gets really fun because we can start to see how the day-to-day life of a marketer actually changes.
And the source gives us this great hypothetical scenario of a social campaign. I want to walk through this because I think it really illustrates the difference perfectly. Let's say you have an agent running a paid social campaign for you. And it detects that engagement is starting to decline. And it's, say, 2:00 a.m. on a Tuesday morning.
Okay, so let's contrast this. In the old world, the automation world, you might get an automated alert on your dashboard, a little red flag that says, hey, your click-through rate is down, but you're asleep. You wake up in the morning, you see the alert, now you have to go in, you have to look at the data, you have to try and figure out why. Maybe you realize the creative has gone stale. Then you have to write some new copy, you have to talk to a designer to get a new image, you have to upload it, maybe get it approved by legal, and then finally restart the campaign.
And that's days of work, maybe even a week, depending on how your company is structured.
Yeah.
And all the while, you're just burning money on bad ads that aren't working.
Exactly. But here is what the Agentic AI does, according to the source, all without any human intervention. First, it detects that performance drop instantly at 2 a.m. Then, it immediately generates a dozen new creative variations on its own. It writes new headlines, maybe it tweaks the image using generative tools. It could change the background color or the text on the call to action button.
All automatically?
All automatically. Then, it launches a series of A/B tests to see which of these new variations actually performs best.
It's doing the testing on its own. It doesn't need to call a meeting to decide what the A/B test should be.
On its own. No meeting required. Then, it sees which variation is winning, and it automatically reallocates the budget to the better performing segment. It might even refine the messaging further based on real-time trends it's seeing on social media. Maybe there's a trending topic it can cleverly tap into. And finally, it could even go and update the landing page on your website to match the new ad copy, so the entire user journey is seamless from ad to conversion.
And it does all of that while the marketing manager is asleep or maybe busy working on big picture strategy for the next quarter.
Precisely. It's reporting back ROI improvements, not just asking for help with problems. It's a full closed loop of perceive, plan, act, and learn. It's like having a team of 20 optimization specialists working the night shift, but it's just a piece of software.
That is absolutely wild to think about. And the source talks about how this finally enables true hyper-personalization at scale. You know, we've been talking about personalization for 20 years in marketing. Dear first name.
Laughs, right? The dear first name revolution. Hi, John. We noticed you have a first name. Here's a toaster.
Exactly. But this is different. The source argues this moves us from what they call demographic assumptions to behavioral precision.
And that's a key distinction.
What's the real difference there? Break that down.
So demographic assumption is broad. It's a blunt instrument. It's saying something like, you are a male, age 30, 40, you live in Chicago, so you probably like baseball. It's a guess based on putting you in a big bucket with a million other people.
But you might hate baseball.
You might hate baseball. You might love opera. You might be a 35-year-old male in Chicago who is secretly obsessed with competitive knitting. Demographics completely miss the individual nuance.
Right. It's basically stereotyping. I mean, it's efficient, but it's often really wrong.
Very wrong. Behavioral precision, on the other hand, is specific to you. It's saying, you just read 3 of our blog articles about vintage watches, you paused on a YouTube video we made about different leather straps, and then you went and checked our shipping policy page. The Agentic AI uses that specific granular behavior to tailor the next message specifically to you right in that moment. It doesn't care who you are on paper. It cares what you just did.
And doing that for one person is easy. A good human salesperson does that instinctively. But doing it for a million people simultaneously is impossible for humans.
That is the economic scalability piece that makes this so powerful. The AI can tailor the messaging, the channel, the tone, even the product recommendations and the pricing for every single individual in your audience all at the same time.
So how does this apply in other areas like content marketing?
Well, the source mentions that agents can now write long-form content, like a blog post. But then they can automatically repurpose that one piece of content into a dozen tweets, a LinkedIn post, generate a script or short video, and even produce the image prompts for the visuals to go with it, all while optimizing the SEO of the original piece in real time.
So it's like an entire content team in a box. It's taking one core idea and just exploding it across every channel, perfectly tailored for that specific channel's format and audience.
In a way, yes. And just think about what that means for something like SEO. Instead of writing one article and then just hoping it ranks for the next 6 months, the agent can monitor search trends every single day and tweak the content. It might add new paragraphs or change the headlines or insert new internal links to keep it perfectly optimized as the search landscape changes. It becomes living content.
And what about in paid media?
In paid media, it's all about identifying those high-intent audiences and adjusting bidding strategies to detect ad fatigue before the performance actually drops.
Mm.
And that's the jazz musician part again, right? It can sense that the audience is starting to get bored of an ad before they actually stop clicking.
It sees the eye rolls in the data before the audience gets up and walks out of the club.
Exactly. It can see the subtle signs, like scroll speed slowing down or hover time decreasing, and it acts on that signal before it becomes a real problem in your ROI.
The source also gives some really specific industry examples that I found very grounding. Like for retail and commerce, it's not just about running better ads. It's about connecting those ads to your inventory.
This is where marketing finally integrates with operations in a real dynamic way. Imagine an agent that adjusts promotions based on real-time inventory swings. Let's say you're a fashion retailer. The agent sees that you have way too many winter coats sitting in a warehouse in Illinois. And it also sees that the weather forecast for Chicago just shifted to be unusually cold for the next week.
A perfect storm, literally.
Exactly. A human might take days to connect those dots. The agent connects them instantly. And it knows to immediately increase the ad spend on those specific coats, but only targeting them to people in the Chicago region. It generates new creative on the fly that says something like, "A surprise cold snap is coming. Stay warm next week."
And if a competitor changes their price,
The agent sees it and reacts instantly to either match the price or to counter with a different offer, well, free shipping. It can even start to predict supply and demand mismatches before they happen and adjust the marketing to smooth them out.
so the marketing department isn't disconnected from the warehouse anymore. The marketing actually knows what is sitting on the shelf right now.
It's one living intelligent system. And in the B2B world, in demand generation, the source talks about the dissolution of that old wall between marketing and sales. Agents can automate these incredibly complex, multi-touch nurturing sequences and perform dynamic lead scoring. So it's not just about marketing handing off a big list of names to sales at the end of the month. It's about nurturing those leads with personalized content until they are actually showing real buying intent and only then handing them off.
Which brings us perfectly to the next big chunk of our deep dive, revolutionizing the sales landscape.
Part 3. Yeah, this is where the rubber really meets the road for revenue generation.
Sales has always had this interesting mix, right? The source calls it the dichotomy of art versus science.
Yes, the art being the persuasion, the empathy, the timing, the relationship building, all the stuff that has traditionally been the human domain. And the science being the pipeline math, the forecasting, the process discipline.
And for decades, technology just helped with the science part. It tracked the numbers. A CRM was basically a glorified Rolodex and a calculator.
Exactly. CRM systems tracked your contacts, marketing automation, scheduled your emails. But the art part, the actual selling, that still required the human touch. But the big shift we're seeing now is that Agentic AI is actively participating in the workflow itself, not just tracking it. It's starting to encroach on the art side, or at the very least, it's facilitating it in a completely new way.
Let's talk about the productivity aspect first, because there's a stat in the source that made my jaw drop, even though I probably shouldn't be surprised by it. It says administrative tasks consume nearly 1/3 of a sales rep's week.
1/3. Just let that sink in. That is a massive amount of wasted potential. We hire salespeople to sell, to go out and build relationships, but they spend 30% or more of their time just entering data into the CRM, writing routine follow-up emails, researching prospects, and generating internal reports.
It's soul-crushing work for someone whose personality is geared towards being out there and closing deals. So Agentic AI comes in as this huge productivity multiplier.
Right. The source suggests AI can reduce that administrative overhead by 25–35%. It basically compresses all that non-selling work into a fraction of the time.
And the crucial point here is what the humans get to do with all that reclaimed time. They aren't just doing more admin work faster.
No, not at all. They get to focus on what humans are actually good at and what they were hired for. The real relationship building, the strategic negotiation, working on those complex, messy, multi-stakeholder deals that absolutely require a human touch to navigate. The AI handles what you could call the mechanical layer of sales, which frees up the human to focus on the relational layer.
I love that distinction, mechanical versus relational. Let's look at lead qualification, because this is another area that's getting totally reinvented.
Yeah, this is a great example of that shift from a rules-based approach to a probabilistic one.
Okay, explain that. How does that actually change the game for a sales team?
So rule-based qualification is what we've used for years and years. It's simple logic. If the contact's job title is VP, then it's a good lead. Or if the company size is over 500 employees, it's a good lead. It's binary. It's either yes or no.
But it's kind of dumb sometimes. A VP at a tiny startup might have zero budget, or a senior manager at a massive corporation might control a multi-million-dollar budget. The title doesn't tell the whole story.
Exactly. It completely misses the nuance. Probabilistic qualification is what the agentic AI does. It ingests everything: their web behavior, their content engagement, their social media activity, historical deal data from similar companies, current market conditions. And from all that, it infers intent as a probability. It says, this person, regardless of their job title, is acting exactly like the last 500 people who bought our product right before they signed the contract. They are reading the technical documentation. They're looking at the pricing page. They just use an online tool to compare us to a competitor.
So it's looking at the behavior, the digital body language, not just the label on their business card.
Correct. And the outcome of that is huge. Those high intent leads, the ones with a high probability score, get routed immediately to a human sales rep for a personal touch. The low intent leads get nurtured automatically by the AI agent until their score increases. And the cold leads are just deprioritized. It's about achieving smarter timing, not just generating more volume. The source mentions that in some early implementations, reply rates to sales outreach have multiplied because the timing of the outreach aligns perfectly with the buyer's actual readiness.
And moving on to contextual personalization, we talked a bit about this in marketing, but in sales, it gets even more specific.
Yeah.
We're way beyond high first name.
Oh, way beyond. Imagine an agent that drafts an outreach email for you. But before it drafts it, it automatically scans the prospect company's recent press releases. Maybe they've launched a new product or opened a new office. It finds their CEO's latest interview and pulls out a relevant quote. It tailors the value proposition in the email to match a specific challenge that it knows is unique to their industry.
That kind of deep research would take a human rep an hour, maybe more, to do properly for just one email.
And the agent does it in a few seconds.
Yeah.
Because it can access and synthesize both structured and unstructured data simultaneously. It can synthesize context at a scale that no human sales team could ever hope to match. It might even remember that 6 months ago the prospect tweeted about a specific problem they were having, and it will subtly weave a reference to that into the opening line of the email.
That is just incredible. And it goes even further into the realm of pricing. The source describes this new capability to simulate different pricing scenarios.
This part was fascinating to me. It's basically turning pricing from a gut feeling into a strategic algorithm.
So how does that work in practice?
Well, a sales agent can simulate different scenarios for a specific deal. It can ask questions like, what is the statistical probability of closing this deal if we offer a 5% discount right now versus a 10% discount? Or, what is the projected long-term customer lifetime value impact of giving this discount?
So it's not just asking, can I close this deal? It's asking, is this a good deal for the business in the long run?
Precisely. It turns pricing from a static spreadsheet or a desperate end-of-quarter gut feeling into a dynamic strategic algorithm. It helps protect the company's margin while still optimizing for the win.
And then there's pipeline management.
This is what the source calls the death of anecdotal storytelling. You know the drill. The sales manager asks in the weekly meeting, how do you feel about this big deal? And the rep says, oh, I feel great about it. We had a great lunch last week. They love us.
But the data is telling a completely different story.
Right. The Agentic AI detects stalled deals automatically. It looks at the patterns and says, actually, email communication from their side has slowed down by 50% in the last 2 weeks, and they haven't opened the last 3 documents you sent them. This deal is at high risk of stalling. It then recommends the next best action to get it back on track. It transforms the weekly forecasting meeting from a guessing game into a data-grounded strategy session.
And finally, on the sales front, there's training and onboarding.
This is all about what they call institutional memory. Ramp-up time for new sales reps is incredibly expensive. New hires can take months to get fully up to speed. Agentic AI can provide them with adaptive, personalized learning paths. It can even simulate objection handling scenarios. It can say, the customer just told you your price is too high. Practice your response now.
It's like a flight simulator, but for sales reps.
Exactly. New reps gain immediate access to the collective wisdom and best practices of the entire organization, all encoded in the AI, rather than just relying on shadowing one veteran rep for a few weeks and hoping they learn the right habits.
And the major players here. The source again lists Microsoft Dynamics 365, IBM, Salesforce, and HubSpot. So once again, it's the big guns who are all in on this integration. This isn't some fringe tech from a tiny startup.
No, it's quickly becoming the new standard for the enterprise.
Okay, so we've covered marketing, we've covered sales. Now let's talk about the department that I think often gets the short end of the stick in terms of new tech, but might actually stand to benefit the most from this: customer service.
Part 4, the orchestration layer. I love that
Okay,
term.
me too. And the source calls this a paradigm shift from reactive support to proactive orchestration, and also from basic chatbots to true agents.
And that distinction is absolutely vital. We have all had a terrible interaction with a bad chatbot.
Oh, they're the worst. You type in your problem and it says, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Here's a link to our 50-page FAQ document." It's just a gatekeeper designed to keep you away from an expensive human. It's incredibly frustrating.
Exactly. Those old chatbots are just glorified decision trees. They're rigid scripts. Agentic AI in customer service is about contextual problem solving.
Right.
And that word orchestration is the absolute key here.
Let's use the telecom billing example from the source. I think it really paints the picture of what orchestration means.
Okay, so in the traditional chatbot world, you contact them about a billing error. The bot confirms who you are. It maybe gives you a canned response about billing cycles can be confusing, and then it immediately escalates you to a human agent because it can't actually do anything about your problem.
Right. It can talk, but it can't act. It has no hands.
But an agentic AI,
Mm.
first, it analyzes your entire account history. It cross-references your real-time usage data with the line items on the bill. It identifies the specific error. Oh, it looks like you were charged for international data you didn't actually use while you were on that flight. Then it initiates the correction in the back-end billing system. It issues the refund to your account. And then it sends you a confirmation email with all the details.
It actually solves the problem from end to end.
That's the orchestration part. It works across multiple systems, the CRM, the ERP, the support ticketing system. It's not just answering your question. It's executing a solution. It's pushing all the right buttons in the background. It's doing the actual work of a support agent, but instantly.
The efficiency gains here must be just massive.
The source cites some pretty eye-popping stats. AI handling 70–80% of all routine inquiries. Overall efficiency gains for the support department of 30–45%.
Yeah.
But the real goal isn't just saving money on headcount. It's that the customer friction dissolves. And when that friction dissolves, customer trust compounds.
And then there's the proactive element. This is the holy grail of customer service.
This is about detecting the problem and solving it before the customer even knows it exists. Imagine the agent sees a sudden billing spike on your account that looks unusual. It automatically notifies you via text message. Hey, we noticed a weird charge in your account this month. We've already flagged it and credited your account for the full amount. Sorry about that.
Instead of me having to find the error on my bill, get angry, and then call them to fight for the refund.
Exactly. That single proactive interaction turns customer service from a cost center into a powerful loyalty engine. You aren't annoyed with the company, you're grateful. You think, wow, these guys are really looking out for me.
Another huge pain point that the source mentions this solves is omni-channel continuity, or as I call it, the repetition frustration.
Laughs. Please tell me your account number for the 4th time. I just typed it into the chat window 3 seconds ago.
Exactly. It drives people absolutely crazy.
An agentic AI maintains memory and context across channels. It carries the full context of your issue from the web chat over to the voice call and then into the follow-up email. It knows where you left off. It solves that painful fragmentation of the modern customer experience.
And finally, this all leads to the idea of service as strategy.
This is the big picture view. In a world where most products are converging, everyone has good features, everyone has fast shipping. The customer experience becomes the main battlefield for differentiation. Service isn't just about cleaning up messes anymore. It's the intelligence hub for the entire company. It feeds critical data back to the product team. Hey, a lot of customers are complaining about this one confusing feature. It helps the company improve the core product. It becomes a true strategic differentiator.
So, okay, we have these incredibly powerful agents running in marketing, in sales, and in service. They are perceiving, planning, acting, and learning. They're like these digital jazz musicians. But where does that leave us, the humans?
And that's part 5, the human element. The most important part, really.
The source uses another musical analogy here that I liked. If the AI agent is the skilled musician, then the human is the conductor.
That's the fundamental shift in our role. The marketer or the salesperson becomes the conductor of an orchestra that now includes highly skilled machines. You aren't playing every single instrument anymore. You are directing the overall sound, the vision, the strategy.
So what do those new human roles look like?
In sales, the human becomes the strategic advisor and the relationship master. The AI does the prospecting and the paperwork. The human builds the deep trust and closes the complex deal. In service, the human becomes the exception handler, the empathy provider for sensitive issues, and the overall experience designer.
The source lists 4 specific skills that are going to be required for professionals in 2026. Let's run through them.
The first one is strategic architecture. Humans have to define the clear goals and, more importantly, the guardrails. If you just tell the AI to maximize profit without any constraints, it might do something terrible to your brand's reputation to hit that number. You have to set the architecture. You have to tell the orchestra what piece of music to play.
Right. And the second skill is AI literacy.
You have to understand, at least conceptually, how these things work. You need to know how to prompt them effectively, how to integrate them into your workflows, and how to troubleshoot them when they get confused. You can't just be a passive user anymore. You need to become a power user.
Third, creative direction.
The AI can generate 1,000 different image variations for an ad campaign. But a human needs to provide the creative direction and curation. Which one of these feels right for our brand? Which one matches the soul and the tone we're going for? The human provides the taste, the aesthetic judgment.
And fourth, and this is probably the most important one, ethical governance.
This leads us directly into the risks of autonomy. The source is very clear that this isn't all just sunshine and rainbows. There are very real operational and ethical risks here.
What are the big ones they highlight?
The first is a lack of judgment. An AI can optimize for conversion, but it can't feel cultural nuance or human empathy. It might run an ad that is technically effective at getting clicks, but is also culturally offensive or tone-deaf.
Oof. Yeah, I can see that. Like targeting a funeral service ad to someone who just posted on social media about a loss in their family, but in a way that feels predatory and gross.
Exactly. And that one mistake can destroy your brand reputation overnight. Then there's the huge issue of data privacy and compliance. GDPR, consent frameworks. If the agent is acting autonomously, who is making sure it's respecting user privacy laws, you have to ensure the agent isn't breaking the law at machine speed. And of course, security vulnerabilities are a massive concern.
And the risk of bias.
A huge one. The danger of autonomy without oversight. If the historical data you train the AI on is biased, then the agent's autonomous actions will also be biased, and it will just amplify that bias at scale. And that's why the source argues so strongly for a hybrid architecture.
Human-defined objectives, AI-executed workflows, but with continuous human monitoring.
Exactly. You don't just turn it on and walk away for a month. You supervise the system. You need transparent audit trails for every action the agent takes. Trust must be engineered into the system from the very beginning, as the source says.
So let's look to the future. Part 6. What does the outlook for the next couple of years from 2026 to 2028 look like according to these sources?
The economic forecasts they cite are pretty striking. Major consultancies are predicting that the vast majority of AI's economic value will come from these autonomous systems, not just from the static co-pilot-type tools. They're predicting that by 2028, a significant portion of all routine business decisions will be made autonomously by these agents.
And that brings up this concept of the competitive divide.
This is the crucial point for any business leader listening right now. The source describes a coming split between companies that are still just experimenting cautiously with this stuff and those that are actively deploying autonomous agents across their business.
And the argument they make is that speed compounds advantage.
It really does. If my company has agents optimizing our marketing, our sales, and our service 24/7 at machine speed, and your company is still relying on manual weekly reviews and spreadsheets, I'm going to win. And the competitive gap between us is going to widen very, very fast.
There's a philosophical shift mentioned at the end of the series that I found really profound. It's this idea of marketing, sales, and service becoming living systems.
Yes. They compare it to the arrival of electricity.
Unpack that comparison for me.
Well, you don't really manage the electricity in your office, do you? You don't have a chief electricity officer who decides when to turn the lights on or off. You design systems, the wiring, the outlets, the appliances that use the electricity to do useful work for you.
Right. It's just assumed infrastructure. It's always on.
Exactly. And the source argues that agentic AI is rapidly becoming that kind of infrastructure for business. In a few years, you won't manage the AI. You will design business strategies that just assume this powerful autonomous infrastructure is always there, ready to be used. The ultimate state is a business that is anticipatory, self-correcting, and almost alive.
Almost alive. That is a powerful image. It really suggests an organism more than a machine.
It does. A system that can adapt and evolve on its own.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the agentic era of February 2026, let's try to synthesize all of this. What is the single biggest takeaway?
I think it really comes down to what the source calls the hybrid advantage. It's not about human versus machine. It's about machine speed plus human empathy. It's about algorithmic precision plus cultural intelligence.
The AI handles the tactical battlefield. The humans define the mission and the
Oh,
strategy.
that's a perfect way to put it.
And I want to leave our listener with the final provocative thought from the source material. It's really a challenge more than a statement.
It is. The question is not whether autonomous marketing and sales will define the future. I think it's clear that that's already happening. The real question is whether your organization is going to help shape that future, or if you're going to be struggling to keep up with it.
And just remember that concept they brought up. Invisibility is perfection. When the system works so well, when the service is proactive, the marketing is perfectly relevant, and the sales process is completely smooth, you don't even notice the machinery. You just feel the value.
That's the ultimate goal.
That is the goal. Thank you for diving deep with us today into this new world of agentic AI. It's 2026, the tools are here, and the jazz music is playing. I guess it's time for all of us to learn how to improvise.
Absolutely. The band is on stage.
Thanks for listening.